Okay, so we can try to talk a little bit about the photo mode filters here. So if you look at the picture right now, there's a couple things I want to do. So the first thing I want to do is lower the vignette. If you look at those top corners, they're very, very dark. Sort of that vignette aspect that you get from real photography, from the lenses. Um, it's just overdone, I think. You don't want it to be that noticeable. You want it to maybe be there, add a little bit of highlighting, like bring your eyes toward the center of the picture, but a little bit more subtle. So I usually go down to 26, but you can do whatever works for you there. But if you look at the picture, we have the background fully in focus, the front fully in focus. We'll really draw out the subject of the picture if we can blur out the background. So photography, it would be get some bokeh going. And so what you want for that is a shallow depth of field, basically, so that what's in focus is a very shallow plane, just sort of your subject's plane. So there's a couple ways to do this. There are some options here. The ones I would mostly use would be, light doesn't do that much. Maybe you like how that looks, but I would go for either full or macro. Now, macro is if something is like super close to your camera lens, let's say. Okay. And with that, you can make your focal point smaller than 2.75U. So that's something really, really close. You can go down and focus really, really, really close to your camera lens, let's say. If you want to go higher than 2.7U, so in other words, farther away from you that you want to be in focus for your focal point, it won't let me go to the right here. I can't bring it up anymore. If I want to do that, I have to just go to full instead of like a macro lens. Instead of like taking a picture of something and focusing on something super close, I want to focus further out. Okay, so I have to switch to my depth of field to full, and then now I can go to the right. Now I actually can't go closer than 2.75U. Again, for going closer, I would switch to my macro lens. Okay, but so now I can go further out. So the way you do that here is I'm just trying to make sure that the guy is in focus, pretty much. So in this case, it can sometimes be a little bit tricky to tell. And one way to do it is to go like where it gets blurry, like there's blurry, and then step it away until it gets in focus. Now, right around here, this looks pretty good, actually. And now focal range is basically for like how much, like how wide the depth of field is going to be. I think that's a pretty good way to describe it. So the focal point is how close or far away are you focusing, and the focal range is like how much of the depth is going to be in focus. Okay, so if I go like really low focal range, then only a very thin plane is in focus, and you can see I'm not really on the right plane. So I want to just give it a little bit more. It's sort of like giving it more leeway. Like it doesn't have to be, and you might want like not just a part of the creature in focus, but the entire front to back creature in focus. So you just increase the focal range. Now, if you go too far, now I'm bringing the background into focus as well. So we don't want to go that far. So something like that, 6.3, 8.8. In this case, we're looking pretty solid here. So that's it. That's sort of how I do that. And we can practice again with another example. But yeah, you kind of get the hang of it. It used to be a little easier to bokeh out the backgrounds. Bokeh. You can look that up. It's a photography term. But okay, so we get a nice picture of this one. Let's get a scan of this gender, the nun gender. And then we have this one over here. Okay. Now our settings should be pretty good. Sometimes it forgets. This guy's a little bit different because of his antlers. We have to be further away, right? Because we want to get his antlers in there. So what we're going to have to do is the macro lens is not going to cut it because we're further away. So we go to full. Okay, and now we can bring this in, and we'll just go till he gets in focus. Okay, so about 3.73U as our focal point. The focal range is fine, so still being as forgiving as we were before. That's pretty good. He's got some nice fur, this guy, and the antlers are very cool. I know my menu won't go away because my controller is bugging out and like moving slightly. Let's see. But by itself. There we go. Okay, and then let's get his scan. Nice.